In 1996, Scholastic began publishing Animorphs. Over the next 6 years, Katherine Applegate and her husband, Michael Grant, under the pseudonym K.A. Applegate, produced 54 main series books, several spin-offs, and inspired a TV series, graphic novels, and a cult following. We can't tell you where we live. We can't even tell you our last names. But we can tell you our thoughts and feelings on this series, book by book. I'm Miranda.
I'm Eddie.
And I'm Chris.
And we are the Anidorks.
These may be kids' books, but we discuss dark themes and mature content. There may also be some explicit language. Listener discretion is advised.
You guys, happy Minisode. We just finished book 10.
Minisode.
We are actually recording this at the right time for once. We actually just finished book 10. We're releasing the last of book 10.
Yep.
And now we're starting to record book 11. But before we do, we have to do a Minisode. So on our Minisode today, we're doing a mailbag episode. And in that mailbag, we're going to read some new reviews. Going to list off our loving patrons. We're going to give some updates about that. And then we got a new CJ email. And we're just going to go for it. Thank you so much, CJ.
We're just going to keep mining you for content if you let us.
Yeah, it's they're very thoughtful, wonderful emails. Yeah, I mean, even our mother has commented on how fun they are. So.
And this one was even more fun than usual. It was written in invisible ink.
Oh!
It was.
Now, Chris, you've kind of ruined that effect because we're all reading it in a Google Doc now, but...
Well, my black light's in the closet and I can't find it. So,
But you're ready for a rave if it's going down.
I'm in the closet, though. Yeah. I'm going to read this one because I'm pretty sure I know who it is and I'm so touched by it. This was updated. This actually is an old review, but it was updated for more up-to-date love of the program, less speculative love. And this is a diehard fan of ours named Toby RB. Kick my road trip's dusty butt! ! Is the title. Just drove 12-ish hours home from Tennessee, and your podcast is the number one reason I live to tell the tale. If you can call this living, am I right? Also,
right.
Big TY, big thank you to Eddie for also not being clued into the endless media references from Baldy's childhood and occasionally asking for clarification. Apparently, you can't leave multiple reviews, so just adding on to previous, exhilarating analysis and a ruthless takedown of heteronormativity, we need an anamorph discourse right now. Thank you so much, Toby RB.
Animals, it's just like wild, the discourse that's going on in there.
Yeah. Yep.
No,
yep.
Thank you, Toby RB.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Amazing.
Yes. And then we have two rather similar. I feel like if we handed these off to a forensic analysis team, they might come back and say the same speechwriter had something to do with these. But I want to hear them anyway, because anytime, take it away.
So the first one, 5-star review from More Bird Than Boy. The hosts have incredible chemistry! ! Sometimes I stay up all night imagining that I, too, am a member of this merry band, and then I leave for work as just another Yerkes commuter.
Nice. That's
good.
from More Bird Than Boy. Did you say that part?
Yep.
Yes.
Because that's a really good.
It wasn't taken.
Yeah.
Where?
And then Miranda, go ahead.
Where is it?
Oh, here, I can screen cap it and put it in the...
All right. So for our third new review, we have a review, 5-star review from Corin11.
Wonder who that is.
Almost as good as the Yerk Pool. Most podcasts these days are afraid to take a strong stance on Yerk invasion. I admire that Chris is a loud and proud supporter of Earth's liberation and vocal about the joys of getting yerked. It's a bold stance, in this day and age especially.
It
You know,
felt
in this
amazing.
political climate.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'll add this because it's gross. When I was younger, my ears would often get blocked with wax, and I actually would go to an ENT, and they would go in there and they'd like scrape around and they'd get my ears all clean. The yerk felt just like that. It felt so familiar and tender, like, you know, like a talented
Like an
ENT.
ENT.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So we have a new patron.
Patron?
Patron?
I thought you were a Patreon supporter. You were a patron.
Yeah, you're correct. But thank you to all our 5-star.
Thank you to all of them.
Thank you to all our 5-star review people. Thank you to everybody who makes a review. If you make a 5-star review, we'll read it on the air, and you'll be immortalized in this ridiculous, ridiculous podcast. Our newest. Thank you to our newest patron, Ted Branston, for turning on the TV, joining us at the $5 level.
Clap, 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 clap.
I want to say thank you to everybody else. Alexander Miller, Shayna, Lisa, Elliot De Niro, Cass, Cosmotron, secretly CJ, and Marie. Wonder who that last one is. Good old Marie. Sorry, Marie.
Good for Marie.
Yes.
Yeah. Patreon updates. Get ready in the Patreon if you're on the $5 or $3 level. Book 9 notes will be released this week. Ooh. And also the second episode of our TV listen along and analysis podcast.
We've already done book 9 notes, right?
Sorry. Book 10 notes. Eddie's right. God, it's...
You want to
take
it again?
3 weeks off and yeah, sure. All right, quick. All right. Quick update for all of our Patreons, especially at the $5 and $3 level. Get ready for book 10 notes to be released. We release them as a sparkly PDF every month, or sort of as we finish them. And then we also have this week dropping this week is our second television listen along and analysis episode, which
and boy,
you can
is it a
watch.
Good one. I don't actually.
It is a good one.
Remember,
it is yes. Actually, and we had so much fun making them. We did them. We all got together and we listened to them. And I'll say, just to make it clear what you can do listening to this episode, I don't know if we've ever gone through this in detail. You can watch the episode on YouTube.
Yes.
And we synced our podcast up to it. So you can press play and just sort of like hang out with us while we're watching our favorite book turned into our not our favorite television show.
Well, undecided.
You know, it has some real moments.
It really does.
And it has some real moments.
Some of those moments, though, like, they hit hard. They're really good. All right, let's do it. CJ email.
Okay. Thank you, CJ, for another email.
Thank you, CJ.
I'll hop in with it.
You start and you just popcorn whomever.
Hey, Anna Cool Kids. Your episodes on Book 9 were great, and I'm enjoying the ones on Book 10 a lot as well. Both books have some really interesting and memorable stuff, while also having some utterly ridiculous moments as well, which I guess is pretty normal for Animorphs, LOL. This got much longer than intended, sorry ahead of time. Book 9 in particular can be very popcorn, Miranda.
Silly. But like you guys, I really enjoy the internal struggle that Cassie's going through. I mentioned before that there are certain loud sections of fans that don't like her. Some of it is pretty transparent racism/sexism. I can buy that. If you were to ask what character gets the most hate in the Animorphs fandom, that isn't meant to be hated, Cassie and Rachel would unfortunately be the answer, with Cassie taking a big lead over Rachel. I won't go into all the details why, but some of what people don't like is here in this book. She worries about... Sorry, I was trying to do air quotes with my voice.
You sure tried. I heard you try.
She, air quote, worries about things that don't matter, end air quote. She just doesn't think about the, air quote, big picture. She gets upset over killing a bug. She risks her life for some popcorn Chris.
Skunks! I bring all of this up because it illustrates interesting things about not just Cassie's perspective, but that of the readers. Some people read Book 9 and just come away thinking about how irresponsible and wrong-headed Cassie is, that nothing she is thinking about matters in the context of the war they're fighting. And I'm not going to say it's wrong to feel that way, but it does seem limiting to me. The very narrative structure of these books encourages you to see from another's perspective. Some people don't like Cassie or the way she thinks and aren't really interested in trying to engage with it. For me, it is these internal conflicts and contradictions that make Cassie feel so human and relatable. 100% agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when I do put myself in Cassie's perspective, I see a girl trying desperately, Popcorn Eddie,
to take some control of her life. She can't stop the Yeerks from being on Earth. She can help fight them. Even that is more just frustrating the Yeerks rather than actively stopping their invasion. And of course, fighting the Yeerks means participating in violence, which she hates. And that just snowballs into everything else in her life. She can't be honest with her parents. She can't focus on school or the things in her life that once made her happy. She has to fight the Yeerks, has to be violent, to lie, to be afraid. So much of that she has little control over, but helping these skunks who are in danger partly because of her own actions is something she can do. It's a tangible, healing thing and comes from a part of herself that has always loved helping animals in nature, which of course is contrasted with her killing the Popcorn Chris.
Termite Queen. Sure, it's just a bug, Popcorn Miranda.
She had to do it to save everyone, but I think the way she reacts is perfectly understandable. For one thing, there's the situation on its own. Before they lost themselves to the collective hive mind, I'm pretty sure Cassie or someone else says the voice they're hearing sounds like their mom. This is true, and it is Cassie. So to kill something that the hive mind wants you to protect that feels or sounds like your mother is already a lot on its own. Very true. But because it's Cassie, the choice is also something that really lingers with her afterward. She already has to do so much violence in this war, killing a creature that was completely uninvolved, even one that's Popcorn Chris.
I'm sorry, I was too busy thinking about even the one that just a bug feels like crossing a line, and she's already had to step over so many. Anyway, while book 9 can be ridiculous and has some pacing issues, what are you talking about? It also has a lot of interesting thematic stuff going on. Your discussion about all these points was great. I'm glad you're enjoying getting more Tobias too, and I can't wait for y'all to get into this next book. Into his next book, sorry.
Me too.
On a cellular note, I wanted to bring up the Yeerks using... Okay. On a sillier note, I wanted to bring up the Yeerks using a curse word in their language to name the logging company. You guys wondered what kind of curse it was, but I think the funnier thought is, how did it get that name? Visser 3 was in charge of the operation. He could have just chosen to name it himself.
Chosen the name himself.
Grammar. Thank you, Miranda. Chosen the name himself. But I like to imagine that some Yeerk grunts approached him one day wanting to know what they should call the company. And in response, Visser 3 just cursed at them for bothering him. So the Yeerk grunts just shrugged and went with that for the name.
Dutifully wrote it down.
Yeah,
that's
very
really funny.
probable.
I don't want to write this on the paperwork, but he said it, so.
He'll kill me otherwise.
Look, I'm not getting
name
eaten
it
over
something
that.
else?
Yeah.
You want to come up with something on your own? You tell Visser 3.
Oh, Popcorn Eddie.
Moving on to book 10, I wanted to start with a fun fact. Eric King is actually the name of a kid
Hell
that
yeah!
won a contest.
I wondered about
Of
this.
course,
I
'cause it's
wondered
such an
about
odd
this.
spelling.
Yes, yeah.
Eric King is actually the name of a kid that won a contest to have their name used in the series, which is kind of neat. I'm pretty sure he even did an AMA on Reddit years ago talking about it and his feelings on the series. Then something that's kind of hilarious. The reason there's a running bit about Marco's haircut is because of his cover model. Apparently, he got a haircut in between photo shoots for the covers, so KA had to quickly add in a reason as to why Marco suddenly had short hair.
That's so
Oh
funny.
my God, Charisse!
Oh, yeah,
Charisse!
yeah.
If not for this kid not realizing it was a serial gig, we never would have had Charisse.
Yeah, it's true.
Yes, he created Charisse.
Wow, that's so funny.
One of the reasons the kid got picked as the cover model was because of his long hair, matching Marco's description. Then he cut it off and they had to change the character description instead.
Yes.
Yes,
Hell
once you
yes.
get cast, do whatever
Art
you want.
imitates life.
But they have so from the beginning, they've had a model with brown hair be Tobias, and Tobias has blonde hair in the description.
It's like a lighter brown.
He's always
now,
had
isn't
dark
it?
hair.
No, in this description
Tobias?
they say blonde, yeah.
You're
Yeah.
Marco.
No, but...
No. Well, we switched to talking about Tobias.
Yes, because Tobias doesn't match his description. I don't think
so
he
I think
matches
Eddie's
his
saying if
description.
they picked this Marco kid for matching
understand
Marco's
now. I
description,
understand.
yeah.
Yeah, well, Tobias is mostly a burb.
Yeah.
So
That's true.
I don't know
He's
that
not
you
on
have to
many
worry
covers
about it.
either. He can't morph, so who do they... Maybe that's why they haven't had him narrate. Anyway,
Maybe.
it's always kind of funny listening to podcasters get to this point who don't already know about the chi, because when you've been reading the books since you were 8, like me, they're such an established part of the series that you kind of forget how surreal they really are. Add on top of that how violent things get in this book, and it's extra wild. I've always kind of pictured the chi to have faces like those old Poochie toys.
Yes.
These,
Wait, I think I know what you're talking
me
about.
too.
I have to pull
Blue
this
ears,
up. I don't know
right?
what these look like.
Yeah. Yes. We had one of these.
I think I did too.
I'm still pulling it up.
Yes. It had an IR sensor in its nose.
Yeah, I had the one with the blue ears.
Yes. And it had a bone. I love these things. Yes.
Yeah,
and I was trying to remember what these were.
Yeah, I remember getting it for Christmas one year.
Yes, you got one. I don't think I got one, but you had one. It was
Yeah,
really
and I probably
cool.
let you play with it.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I think mine broke pretty quickly. My brother had one, I think.
Mine would like do like tricks. You could get it to like spin its legs and its ears and stuff.
It was like
Yeah,
during
it
that
was so
Furby
good.
that Furby moment.
yeah.
Yes, yes. Thank you for putting your finger directly on that.
That's
CJ,
what I will
'cause
picture now.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
and I had that in my head. There was I think maybe a later one that was maybe more fancy and a little bit bigger and a little bit more curved, but I like less boxy
Yeah,
looking.
Yeah.
wait a minute. So they stopped selling Poochies and went on to do Furreal Friends. The more
Real
realistic
Friends.
looking fake dogs and cats. That's crazy. But it's like the same company.
Oh my god, that's crazy. All right, let's get back to it. But that's amazing.
Yeah.
Let's keep going.
So with Eric's actions toward the end of this book, I always ended up picturing a giant Poochie standing next to the pile of creatures it just killed, while still likely
dude.
covered in the popcorn Miranda.
Viscera of said creatures. And then that cute blood-covered robot dog talks about how it will always be haunted by the memory of this slaughter. Like, what do you even do with that? It's so weird and messed up, and I love it. Same. Big same. I don't remember if I ended up putting it in the episode or not, but I was picturing sort of like Kibo from Danganronpa, but like with a dog face. But I like this better.
Yeah.
Okay. Honestly, it's kind of a visual shorthand for what the series is as a whole, or for what the series as a whole is like, LOL. Oh, you see a cute animal? Well, get ready to watch it go through and cause unbelievable amounts of violence and trauma. Have fun, kids.
I hope you have those permission slips. Keep going.
So, some questions. Popcorn Chris.
I have one about book 9. The rest are for book 10. So all right, at least one. At least 2. At least 3, presumably.
Yes.
All right. You might have talked about these already, but since the final book 10 part isn't out, I'm asking anyway. Because to hell with you, Anna Cool Kids. To hell with you. It doesn't say that, but if it did. Cassie is an Estrine, and that's been well established. But do you think it's because she just has a natural talent for it, or because she thinks about animals and morphing in a different way? Instead of just imagining a body part, she usually thinks of what it means to really be whatever she is changing into. And I always wondered if that was a factor in her skill. Oh, shall I keep reading through all the questions and we'll go back through?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for putting all the questions at the end, CJ. That's so helpful. Do you think the Chi have been doing stuff behind the scenes to help out the Andalite bandits? It seems like the Chi were kind of expecting to run into them eventually, and they didn't even seem surprised when most of them were human. How do you think the Chi decide what life or role their hologram will portray next? Like, did Eric draw the short straw and have to be a middle schooler? More seriously, what do you think of Eric and the choices he makes at the end? Apologies to your vocal cords if you read all this out loud. I'm excited for the rest of book 10 and book 11 afterwards. I think that's a good Jake book, and I'm really interested to hear what you think of it. Looking forward to listening. CJ, thank you so much. CJ,
Thanks,
Yeah,
CJ.
thank you.
I think a lot of things about Book 11, and I can't wait to talk about
Thank
them.
you. Yeah. Also, really funny email.
Yes,
Yeah,
as
very
always.
good.
You got, as always, it really got me. All right, so let's
these
do this
questions.
Cassie Estrine one.
Well, first
Yeah.
off, I would think generally, I think we totally agree about Cassie. I mean, we were already kind of responding to that as we were reading.
Yeah.
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 Oh, yeah. Love Cassie.
Yes.
Love Cassie.
Yeah, and the conflicts that come with.
Yeah, and I think oftentimes you find that I don't think that she is missing the big picture. I think there's actually a way where if you look at it and spin it, it's actually like, even though it may be about empathy for one, she is also the one who sees the big picture so clearly, so regularly.
Right.
Like, for example, at the end of this book, there's a moment where you'd expect her to maybe pause and be upset that animals were being harmed. And she's like, nope, we have to hustle up home. Like,
That's true,
we have to
but
get home
also-
because we're fighting a war and we have to win that war to save those animals.
Exactly.
Like-
But also in that moment, she uses it as a way to explain to them how this is her personal reason to fight. And they may think of it as small, but when they're faced with, and when you say this book, you mean book 11, which is the
11,
one we're
thank
about
you,
to
yeah.
do. And when faced with the scale of the destruction that they're talking about, and not even just faced with larger scale destruction of a habitat, the other Animorphs are all in like shock and horrified. And she's like, this is what I told you we were fighting for. Come on, let's go.
Right.
Like,
And it's a special kind of person who appreciates what everybody trying to recycle means. Like,
Yeah.
if you can't see that picking the litter up off the street in one instance moves towards something, then you're never going to pick the litter up off the street. You're going to assume all problems are too big to be solved. And I think that that's possibly the most important thing that Cassie gives these books, is the idea that collective action is important and powerful.
Yeah. I also just
Totally
like,
agree.
it's not easy. No one, I don't think, so like vocally disagrees with the rest of the group, but is willing to stand on their own like that. Like, I think Cassie's often the one in opposition to the group. And I think it's like, it just speaks to her strength that she's so comfortable. Well, not comfortable, but that she's so willing to be that voice. Too.
Yeah.
That's totally
As for this-
a great point.
as for this Cassie strain question, I think that personally, like, my headcanon has been that her being in touch with animals is sort of what caused it, but that could be, you know, causation, correlation, or it could be cause and effect going the other way, where whatever she was born with that makes her an estrine also makes her, like, more caring for animals. I feel like that's a little less likely because she's not a creature that naturally has the ability to morph. But there is like a moment, and it's happened in all the books, but I feel like in book 11, there's like a really, and also it's just the one I just read, there's a really clear moment where she's the one they come to figure out what morph they need to do. And part of that is knowing and understanding the animals, and not just how their like physical abilities can be used, but how their sensibilities and their instincts can help or hinder a situation that you're going into.
Yeah, what does that like make her on other, like, there's got to be a stand-in, right? It's got to be like, if we're watching like
She's an empath.
Yeah.
Yes, but if we're watching like Power Rangers, that smacks of Billy to me. That's kind of like a Geordie LaForge-ish like vibe of like, I know what's technically possible in this situation, and I can help fill in the gaps of your understanding.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, or is it like a Data-y energy?
I don't think it's Data-y.
It's not Data-y. Axe is more Data-y.
Yeah. There's definitely like
Although-
an emotional or a spiritual element.
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just I like how CJ puts it here. I like thinking about animals and morphing in a different way. She's thinking about what it really means to be, that she's approaching like the fundamental act of morphing slightly differently, that she's
Right.
that there's something there. And because there is this element where they, like, when they're in human morph, they can sense the animal sometime inside of them. Like when they're in the human morph, there seems to be some kind of like,
They talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're the animal's DNA being inside them.
yeah.
And she seems more in touch with what that means to her.
yeah.
I guess it's like if you were playing D&D and suddenly an Andalite crashed and your party had to stop killing kobolds for a moment and you were given the power to morph from an Andalite prince. I guess like your dungeon master would have to like handle that with an animal handling check.
Yeah.
And I think
And she
that
passes
is
the animal handling
and she
check,
passes
yeah.
the animal handling check. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you don't need to do any sort of like knowledge arcana or anything like that, because he's going to tell you everything. And you don't need to pass a language check because he
Right.
thinks into your brain.
Yeah.
Or there's
Right,
not a
right.
language check, but you don't have to
Right.
know the language.
Yeah.
And
Which
what
skill does that
is
tap
animal
into?
handling?
Oh, wait,
yeah,
knowledge
exactly,
arcana
yeah.
isn't a thing
Wisdom?
anymore, is it?
Is animal handling might not be a thing anymore. 5e, here we go.
It is. I think it's on my
All right.
sheet.
Animal handling skill, wisdom. Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's what she would be high in, right?
Yeah, she's a high wisdom character.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
All right, so we got to the bottom of that.
That's our belief. Do you think that she have been doing stuff behind the scenes to help out the Andalite bandits? I don't get the impression that I think that they've been aware that there are Andalite bandits. I mean, that's because they're in like the Yerk circles. Like they've infiltrated there, but I don't think they've been doing much to help.
I don't think so. I don't think they've been trying. I mean, even with it really seemed to me like Maria and those Chi like weren't even interested in getting involved at all. Like they knew about what was going on, but they didn't know that Eric was at the sharing. I'm not sure how much they actually knew about the ongoing invasion of Earth. And then Eric, I feel like, was still conflicted enough that he felt like he couldn't really interfere. So the most he could do was not help the Yerks and try to like sabotage them a little bit by saying he's helping and then not helping.
Yeah. But he's been had a very passive role. Like he did go to Marco's mom's funeral because he was upset about it, right? Like upset about because he thought he could do something to help. Is that right?
You know what? It's actually somewhat unclear.
He doesn't really explain how he thought he could help.
Yeah.
But I think he means if the Chi had stepped up sooner, maybe this wouldn't.
But the passivity seems like
I don't know that I don't know that he thought he could directly have stopped Marco's mom from being made Visser 1, but like
one of the things, and we didn't talk about this in the book episodes, but one of the things that we maybe hinted at it, but one of the things that bothers me the most is like that from a resistance standpoint, the books, I feel like they fundamentally misunderstand nonviolence as a strategy I don't know, like it doesn't really hold space for the fact that like there's a self-defense component to like what the Andalite bandits are engaged. I'm sorry, the Animorphs are engaged.
Okay, Chris.
As a Yerked person, I drink the Kool-Aid. But I just think I found that like a frustrating thing. And so like that a question of like, was he doing more stuff behind the scenes? Like he obviously was getting the ducks in a row. He was trying to figure out what he could do. He got the info on the crystal. He knew like what it could take. I don't understand why he couldn't move towards acquisition of that crystal without engaging in violence. Like why doing a heist for him was out of the question.
Why didn't he just try to become a high enough ranking Yerk to steal the crystal and then disappear forever because they have no idea he's like exists. Like if he just goes underground.
But maybe we just caught him early in that plan, but it just I get the impression he was early in starting to deal with the Yerks.
Yeah.
Hopefully
we'll learn more
about
them.
The early Chi gets the Yerk. Cool.
So this kind of leads into this pretty naturally. More seriously, what do you think of Eric and the choice he makes at the end? Well, Chris, you were very upset about this isn't Eric, but throwing the chip into the...
Yeah, that wasn't an Eric. That wasn't an Eric choice.
Yeah, it was
Eric's choice to give Marco the computer crystal.
Yeah.
But with Eric, like, whatever you need. If you murderate a bunch of Hork-Bashir and want to take a week off, hell yeah, dude.
No, that's rough. I get that.
I
do think it's kind of, I feel like there was a world where he didn't go full crazy murder. I don't know if he just didn't know how to hold himself back once he removed that nonviolent thing and just like, because like I'm thinking they were like a blender. It was like a blender.
Yeah.
So what they said was it was horrific how efficient he was, but also for him his memories don't decay.
I get that, but like I think if he hadn't gone full...
Agreed. If they had for example, if they had pulled their plan off better and maybe only had to kill one Hork-Bashir, they could have been like, it feels weird at first, and then they could have taken him to another battle, and then we could have made it like further. But instead, we kind of used Eric up.
Enough people to escape, and then been like, wow, that was really hard for me, but you guys were gonna die if I didn't do that.
Right. Like he obviously made the choice to save them.
Yes.
I think whatever he wants to do is more than fine, and he'll be able to be like functional in. I also suspect that like the books will probably explore how he could be useful in a nonviolent fashion.
That's what I'm thinking is like we feel like maybe we've seen the entire arc of this because we read the book, but I feel like it's actually there's a longer journey that the Chee are going to go on. But I think the Chee, it's hard not to think they're adorable because they're dog people, and also to be frustrated by them. That's how I feel like I'm like, you could be doing more. Also, it's kind of cool that you can murder so efficiently, right?
Yeah.
Like, that could be useful. And I'm mad we didn't even get to see it. I want the camera on the action.
I have to point this out because we didn't know this when we were reading the book, but that kid won a contest.
Yeah.
True.
So this little kid won a contest and then was reading a book that this kid was in.
Yeah.
And then, oh my God,
really
what
good
did
at
I
killing.
do?
He was like,
What
he
did I
told all his
do?
friends to read it. Like, this is my
What did
book.
I
That's
do?
me.
Oh no! Oh God! Yeah. So I think they had to
all
give
they
him
told him was like, get a chance to have a character from a new species named after you.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
God, I hope it's a Ged, that kid thought.
Well, I hope visually they described him to a T. I hope it looks like the real kid.
Oh man, it probably did describe some picture they gave.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy.
So there's one more question. Kind of swooped it. How do you think the Chee decide what life or role their hologram will portray next? I think they roll
Cootie
for
catcher.
characters.
Yes, they roll characters. Yeah, or they do one of those like cootie catcher. What are those? Fortune tellers. The folded fortune tellers.
Yeah, no, cootie catchers, and just fortune things.
Rock, paper, scissors. I do think it is really, really interesting that they chose a middle school kid. Makes no sense to me. Mm-hmm. And the idea that they like don't age, it's like vampires don't do that. Vampires do not. They do not do the thing where they pretend to be a nuclear family and then
actually in Twilight they do.
Well, no. Pretend to have a nuclear family, maybe, but like I'm just saying, like,
they just keep moving.
You don't age
in high school,
from kid to thing
and then back
to death and then back. Like you don't do that as a vampire. And I feel like I would have just, he should know about vampires because he's been around. But I would just do what the vampires are doing.
So
go ask a vampire.
There's this anime. So there's a question I have about how the Chee work. And it reminds me, it made me think of this anime I watched called Wolf's Rain, which is an anime that I love. And in it, the main characters are wolves who can make you think they look like humans, essentially. But they are wolves. At no point are they actually those humans. So like one of them gets outed when he saves someone from falling off of something, and he has to do it with his mouth. And so in that moment, the facade drops and they see that he is not a human, he is in fact a wolf. And so that's what I want to know about like the Chee, because what this did in my brain was like, if anybody waves an arm at eye level over this person, what do they touch? Because they like touch things and interact with things.
Good point.
But I'm like, if the Chee go from actually go from child to adult to old person, like there are growths that are implied in that. And I thought they said in the book that you live out like a whole life and then you take a break and then you come back.
Yeah.
So it's not like you have one hologram forever.
Right.
So if the holograms age and grow, how do you not stop people who try to tap you on the shoulder and your shoulder's in a different place from breaking your hologram?
Yeah. Or if you get mugged and someone runs at you or something.
I'm assuming that like the hologram had some sort of like
kinetic energy barrier. I mean, he's powering a Candrona in there. You're right.
But
Yeah. Like
then what happened with the bus when he hit the?
I think that was just a sufficient impact.
I see.
It disrupted the power, like when a goose smacks into a truck ship.
But presumably there have been incidents where
I really want like a GIF of that. I want someone to draw the geese hitting the invisible truck ship and rolling.
Yeah. Presumably there have been incidents though where a Chee did get hit by a bus or something, or when they're building the pyramid, something falls on them and then the illusion's shattered and they have to, kind of like what happens in Book 11, they have to cover it up, right? Like that's got to happen.
Well, And to know what happened, I think we'd have to go back and read all of mythology. I think, the great libraries in Alexandria burned, and maybe there were plenty of books about they were full of chi, and the chi were like, we got to burn these libraries.
They couldn't burn a library. I feel like that would go against.
Anubis, actually, famously.
Chi.
A chi.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
I think if they have these great memories, I think maybe sometimes though. So I like the idea of them rolling the character. Maybe they're also like when they're not in a place where someone would remember a person, maybe it's like a tribute to someone, like they recreate someone's image or something because they've been around a long time. So
that's true.
Yeah.
You could become someone who died.
Yeah.
Like not for real, like long enough after.
Yeah. Or a doppelganger thing. Maybe they're just
like you could model your behavior off of a human that you knew.
Yeah.
Right. Like you could be like Mozart too.
Yeah.
And you could name yourself Mozart too.
Yeah. Sneaky. Wait,
God damn it.
I have a question.
I really hope in the future. Oh, sure. Whatever.
No, you go ahead. Do your thing first.
No.
Okay.
I just really hope that instead of senior and junior, we start doing like Eric 2 and Eric 3.
The third?
No.
We do that.
No, just Eric 3. No, we don't do that. We do Eric the third or whatever.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's why Eddie said the third, and I said we do that.
Yeah. I guess like people refer to Henry V as Henry V.
But you want it like Visser 3. You want to be Chris 3.
People refer to the play as Henry V.
III.
I don't feel like they really refer to him as Henry V.
Yeah, it's like Rocky V. Anyway, Eddie, you take it
So
away.
I have a hypothetical. No, it's on. I want to know who is the better actor. So we've seen the Yerks often not so great at, sometimes very good at impersonating humans, right? But sometimes we've seen them really screw up. Chi, do you think they're better actors or inferior?
No, not even a little bit.
No?
They seem like historically to have not been found out, but Mr. King was really weird.
Yes, he was.
Really weird.
Yeah.
Dogs.
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 They're very different personalities. I feel like the Yerks never
You guys
chill.
want to see some dead dogs?
No!
They're like, they do more relaxed, laid back, hacky sack kind of.
Well, they do crowd work.
Yeah.
It's like, or the Yerks?
No.
Yerks
The Chi is what I'm talking about.
Oh, the Chi.
The Yerks are high strung. They're rubbing their ankles with their one foot, as we saw in the show. Like,
Oh, yeah.
anxious body language, the Yerks.
Oh, man.
Well, yeah.
That's fantastic. Sorry, I lost the thread.
We'll find a place to drift out somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to Anidorks. We'll be back soon with lots more to say. Until the Andalites return, or at least until next time. See you soon.